Think of the coolest piano keyboard player in the world, and if you're coming up with a blank or something like that, I'm going to tell you who it is for you. Bobby Valderrama.
All right.
Bobby, big Bobby from San Jose.
What an introduction. Thank you.
Was that all right? That was cool, thank you. And you know what? It came from my heart.
I know.
It came from my heart. So
Thank you,
thank you, man. You came all the way from San Jose.
It's good to be here. Honored, bro.
Oh, man, I
Yeah.
appreciate that, bro.
Very nice
You're
to
looking
meet you.
good.
Nice to meet you too, Bobby.
You're looking good.
Yeah. Yeah, I did get to hear your keyboard a little online.
Okay.
And I told Peter as I started, I said, I started listening to your, the two albums you have out.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I wanted, as I heard your keyboard, I said, oh, I need to find all the ones that feature you. Because honestly,
She did say that.
yeah, I said, oh my God, he's great.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, and just obviously, I want, Bob, I want you to talk about all the projects you have going on stuff, but I just want to say thank you personally. I mean, I won't even get into all specifics of things, but just a genuinely cool dude, very generous in nature. But I love having you because you are probably, this is no shit, Rain, check this out. There was one of these that we were at, and I don't know, Doug, was it me who said something about give me a bird sound? And Bobby on his keys created this bird
You told me this.
sound
Yeah.
that started the, I don't know if you incorporate, do you remember that, Bobby?
Yeah.
How
I
did
do
that
remember
go?
that was in the backyard.
You
of one
created
of
a
the
bird
houses.
sound with his keyboard?
Yes.
I mean,
Okay.
it's a setting, but I didn't know where it was. So
Oh, okay.
obviously, I don't use it all the time.
Right.
But I knew there was helicopter sound and all that stuff.
Oh, got
So you
it.
mentioned
Bird sound.
you mentioned some omen happened where you open the door and there's a bird and you go, what does that mean, or something?
Yeah.
What kind of, and so I'm going, oh, I got here somewhere. So checked it out, found the bird and started tweet, tweet, tweet.
It was incredible.
It
And
was-
so
the
then
timing was perfect.
Yeah, and then
Mhm.
another show. Okay, and I'm just telling you, because you got some keyboardists, and I mean, they're great, but they don't want to play either left hand and kind of bring in the bass tones if you don't have a bass player or something like that, or they sound great in a particular manner, style. They got their style and all that, which is great. But there is nothing, and I have challenged this guy. I'm telling you, man, I've challenged him with all kinds. So one of these shows, do you remember, Bobby? We were up at Eric and Cindy's in Lafayette. And I said something like, Doug, what was it? Something like, give me a Jamaican song. And then you bust out, what was it? The xylophone? Or what was it?
Yeah. the Cabaret, which it was about 500 seats availability. They had a variety of different things throughout the week, but and they had a lot of like great a 500 seat auditorium is pretty decent size. It's not small, it's not
Definitely.
big.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
every once in a while they'd sprinkle in jazz groups.
Mm-hmm.
So we became the house band for the jazz groups.
Oh, nice.
So here I am backstage with Larry Carlton. We're opening up for my band, 4-piece, 5-piece bands opening up for Larry Carlton, Hiroshima,
Oh, wow.
Jeff Lorber Fusion.
See, I would have never known this.
Yeah.
If we didn't have this podcast,
That's why
forgive me,
this is
Bobby. I
so
just gotta
great.
say this
Isn't
is
this
great.
great?
Because
Yeah.
even if we didn't, I'm sorry to interject
Sorry,
here,
we're
but I
gonna
just
have a moment
I
here.
gotta roll with. Yeah, I'm having a moment. She said,
Moment.
I'm having a moment. But I would never know
To
that
lose your place.
because I don't know that I'd be able to hang out long enough with them either before or after
Yeah.
the show or in between or any other time. I
Yeah.
would have never known that.
Oh my God! And the journey, I love the journey
Yeah.
of the
So anyway,
musician.
carry on, brother.
Yeah.
But I got a whole new appreciation level for you.
So and that was an intimidating. So it was the not Return to Forever. It was the electric band, John Patitucci on bass and Dave Weckl. Before they added a sax player and guitar player, they were just a 3-piece, only for a very short while. Well, we opened up for that show, packed house at the Cabaret, 500 people, sold out, and here we are playing our jazz before Chick Corea. So we walk in, so here's how it was. And back in the old days, they used to have a lot of warm-up acts, all over the place.
Yeah.
Now they don't do that,
Yeah, they don't
anymore.
do so much. Yeah.
So they say, well, the headliner is gonna sound check at 3, and then you guys are gonna sound check at 4:30, and then the show's not till like 8 or 9 or whatever. But they move their equipment back, and then the opener sets up their stuff and does their sound check. Well, so we get there at 4:30, and Chick and these guys are just ripping. There's a song called "Gotta Match." You ever put it on? And they're just, and we all look at each other and just go, "Oh no!" I mean, this is like
Your legs are shaking.
yeah, this is like the PAL football going up against the Niners. In their prime. It's the top. It's the actual pinnacle.
You knew the thing to get my attention right there. By the way, go Niners.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So we were intimidated, and we weren't like other funk groups. We could hang and say okay, but it was just so technical and so fluid.
Wow.
So that was our most intimidating gig.
And
But
so how did you do?
we did okay.
Okay.
We did okay.
Were you nervous through the whole thing?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like
Well, that's good training, right?
good
It
training.
does build
Yeah.
muscle, like confidence and all of that. So,
Oh, yeah.
Outdoors? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of that, did you ever do any? You did do improvs inside the Impulse shop.
Yes.
You did a couple of
yes,
them, right?
I did. Matter of fact, I wanna bring a moment that
Please.
I will never remember. I'll never forget
Oh,
at the Improv. I did. I think 2 of them.
okay.
But one particular night, you were. I wouldn't say preaching, but pontificating or.
He was storytelling.
Yeah, he was storytelling, but I did like a church organ thing
Okay.
behind you.
Okay.
Like a preacher?
Yeah, like a preacher. And
That's great.
and I don't know if you remember, but it was I really
Vaguely.
remember.
He was ministering.
No, but go ahead. I want to hear it.
And I started doing this. You were the only thing is, the most important thing is love.
Yeah.
You went into this whole thing. So I started going on the organ on the preacher thing.
I love it. I
It
gotta
was-
check that
I
out.
knew
I
that.
don't
I
You
don't
don't
know.
have that one?
know.
I think this is before it was videotaped. I think you might have it on audio somewhere.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
So cool.
But wait a minute.
You
go
got
ahead.
him,
No,
you
but
got
he
him.
wasn't done telling me.
I
I was
know,
loving
but
this.
I'm
Go
just
ahead.
saying he got
Yeah.
you.
no, but to me, I looked at you and said, "This brother, he's got something. He's
Yeah.
got something." And I wasn't a sacrilegious thing. I felt you were in the moment, and I wanted to capture it and put some.
Oh,
Yeah.
I have moments,
Yeah, moments.
Yeah.
favorite moments,
I
and I was
love
gonna. 3 came to mind,
Tell me.
and we already talked about
Oh,
2
yeah.
of them.
Oh, we did.
One
The
of
bird
them-
too. Okay.
Right,
yeah,
the bird
One of them
sound.
was the bird,
And
Okay.
the other was the
Okay.
minister.
and the other one was the minister.
Okay, the bird and the minister.
Well,
Look at
I
that.
like
That
it.
sounds like a book
It sounds like a
title. The Bird-
painting.
It sounds like a painting. I think
Yes.
I had a painting called The Bird and the Minister. Go ahead.
And the other one, which was something I hadn't done in literally decades, which is I got on a guitar patch on my keyboard, electric
remember
guitar, with the Evan.
Yes.
Oh.
I
This was
remember it.
This was in the
Oh.
warehouse.
In the warehouse.
There's a picture of us like going
Yes.
off,
Yeah.
and
I remember that.
it was a good. I hadn't played that kind of synth probably in
It was a
30
back
years.
and forth. So
Oh,
what they
right,
were
they
doing,
were
is
like
there a
talking-
name for
Yeah,
they
that?
were
yeah, it's called trading
Oh,
solos.
trading.
Trading solos.
It's kind of like
Yeah.
scatting, but like if
Yes.
you're a musician,
But
but you're,
back
yeah,
and forth,
you're
you're
a singer.
mimicking
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
And
That's
so,
cool.
Yeah, and then the end of it, at the climax is you just play the same thing
That's
and just keep
beautiful.
repeating it
That's so
until
beautiful.
you hear the crowd go, yeah.
Do you have that one?
That I do have.
Okay,
Yeah,
that was
right.
a lot.
So I want
I
some
do have.
videos from you. At least
He
point
picked out
that
some-
out.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, send that to me. Yeah.
I will.
Yeah.
I don't want the Brooklyn side of you coming out of me now.
No, why?
The other moment was where we did kind of a hard rock song. And that's not my nature now, right? I don't play. But we got into
Take
this
note
thing.
of that.
No, we got into this thing at that jam session up at the Eric's house, right?
Oh yeah.
Where Ben started rocking. So
Yes.
the whole time I'm thinking, okay, do I pull that same guitar trading thing against Ben?
Oh,
And,
that's a scary.
Oh my
and so
goodness.
I mean we're all the whole crowd's jamming and everything. And in the back of my mind I'm thinking, should I? Should I? I mean, this is
That's.
I've only seen Ben and I never played with him before.
Yeah.
Huh?
I say, yeah, go for it. I'm only, you only live once.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
But
So
how,
then next thing you know, we're just.
but how do you let the guy? Oh, you just start doing his thing. You start mimicking him. Like
Well,
how do you let?
coordinate?
Yeah,
Yeah,
how do you coordinate
well,
that?
No,
Yeah.
no. Well, that one I don't think was a trade. That was what he soloed, but the song didn't lend itself to an organ or a electric piano. It just was out of context. We were rocking pretty hard.
Huh?
So I said, I got to pull out the old synth with a little electric guitar bend. But do I do this
Mm-hmm.
after Ben just took a solo?
Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I just let's do
No.
that. And then I remember he looked over like, okay.
He was up.
This that we're talking about to what he's currently doing, this
Okay,
incredible band that he
Yeah.
leads. And I want to hear all about East
Yeah.
Side Funk.
Yeah, me
because
too.
that is a bad band. And I want to tell you a little bit about East Side Funk as they were inside the club and how important they were in the club. And just, man, I guess I'm in the middle. Okay, I'll just continue on with what I'm saying. I don't know what the hell I'm saying. No, but his band, okay,
All right.
East Side Funk.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's always, but you nod or you correct me if I'm wrong, but 8-piece band is a rule.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
And it's typically comprised of, typically you have of course, your cell phone keys. And by the way, he writes and produces all this
I
music.
read
He
that.
writes this
I
music.
know. I gotta ask questions about that.
Okay.
Well, go ahead and ask your question.
Well, no, let's
it's a
go.
nice
You-
little
you go
kind
with
of,
the-
Yeah,
thing.
you're still
No,
saying
go,
that.
Okay,
go,
all right.
yeah.
Well, anyway,
Uh-huh.
so
I love
this East Side Funk, they'd come in. They were one of the only ones that would come inside the club and hang a banner like how I
I
hang.
love
And I
it.
said, "Oh, that's cool. These guys know what
They
they're
know
doing."
their
You've
job.
got a penguin and shit on his band.
I was gonna ask you about
band.
the logo, so I'm
Okay,
gonna,
so yeah,
I will remember
you know
that.
what? I don't even. It's a good thing you're around. You got that hard hitting kind of thing because I wouldn't
I
ask
like the
about his
details.
penguin
Okay.
and how the hell the
Beauty
penguin
is in the
came to be.
details.
Okay, go ahead and
No,
just,
you go, but
I
you
gotta continue.
go. Yeah,
Okay.
go with his band. Yeah.
Every time they would come in,
Mhm.
there's no exaggeration. 8-piece band. The club was a trip. I don't know what you think, but it was beautiful. I really put a lot of effort into designing it, but it was, and it wasn't. I won't say awkward because it wasn't awkward, but it was just unique.
Mhm.
Okay, let me use the word unique in that it was long and narrow.
Yeah.
Okay, it was just the space that I inherited that I
Mhm.
took over in there, and it is what it is. I'm
Yeah.
gonna work with what it is.
Yeah.
And so when you come in with an 8-piece band, you're taking up a lot of that width, right? And you're facing the short side, you're facing the bar and stuff. But anyway, you come in sold out every time. Every time. And I would get
You mean every time his band?
every time his band came in, and I'd write the calendar
wanna be
down for
clear
the
on
month,
that.
and I'd put on the calendar and it says East Side Funk.
Uh-huh.
As soon as I would put that
Well,
on,
Just
I
the
would
name
get-
itself, I'm going.
Okay, well, I would get calls
Mhm.
the following day. Can I get a party of 4 or a party of 2?
Yeah.
Or I got
Just
16
East Side
people
Funk,
coming.
you know?
We're having a meet and greet,
Who's
whatever.
not going to that?
He said, selling out every time. So thank you for that,
Yeah.
Bobby. Thanks
Thank
for being
you.
part of that club. But talk to us about Eastside Funk. How was it founded? I know you're the dude, okay?
Okay.
Because you got people that come in and out. But tell us all
Yeah,
about
the
these,
origins,
what you're
the
doing
organic-
now. She says
Yeah,
the origins,
development
the whole
of
bit.
it. Yeah,
So for original music, I mean, that was the deal.
and that's what you do.
You know,
you do original music. Yeah.
And there's not a lot of people that appreciate that. We have a few people that they appreciate it, but they're not going to lock into original music, but they really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
And you were one of the true blue guys all over the Bay Area, wherever we played. That said, I'm into this original music.
I have to piggyback on that and say that is such a beautiful thing because originality is where it's at. You know, I mean, covers are great, but
Yes.
creating your own thing and using your own
Yeah.
authentic gifts. That's it. That's
So,
everything.
I'll get back to East Side Funk,
No,
but I want to take a
however
second.
you want to.
I want to take a second to really acknowledge you, Peter. One of the there's an author, Simon Sinek. You know, he's written a lot of books, and there's a class he offers in gratitude, right, as being a key to a successful life.
Yeah.
But he talks about three components that really bring yourself to life in your community. One is creativity, the importance of creativity in your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this is you all the way, obviously. So that there's a whole thing you can say about creativity that
Right.
goes without saying here. Next is connection.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of connections, a lot of contact, a lot of
He is
bringing
the
people together.
king of connection. He
And
really
the third
is.
one is compassion. And I've heard a couple of the people here that you interviewed saying, hey, when I was in COVID, I didn't know I was going to do this again or play again. And you have that element where you bring out and cheer people on. So I said, I need to mention this tonight.
Thanks, man. I appreciate
So
that.
creativity, connection, and compassion. My wife has all those three as well.
Yeah.
And so the people that we tend to associate with will have at least 2 out of the 3.
Mm.
And I think the people that you draw are attracted to that.
Well, this band that you just keep rocking and rolling with and getting incredible musicians and
Yeah.
how do you do it?
Well,
How do you keep it together?
That's what my daughter, she said, I was more impressed with the fact that you can manage an 8-piece group than actually the music itself.
Yeah.
She said, with all those personalities,
Absolutely.
all the schedules,
Yeah.
Right.
and they're all high caliber, so they're in demand.
Yeah.
And so she was, so let me just, if you wouldn't mind, I'm gonna
Please.
go back and talk about my
Absolutely.
family. So
Yes.
I was raised in a musical home.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was a pianist, and her older sister was an opera singer.
Wow.
My dad played guitar
Wow.
and sang in church. So I was raised in the Catholic Church, and I would see my dad singing in church. And so to continue the story, let's go back, half an hour.
Yeah.
After my band 4/4, the one that opened up for a series of things happened where it was time for me to leave that band, even though I was the leader of it. It was tough. We were together for 6 or 7 years. My daughter, who I just mentioned a second ago, was a year old, and I was already in her first year of life. I was working a full-time corporate job, practicing 2 nights a week, playing on Fridays and Saturdays, and then playing weddings a lot of times on Saturdays and Sundays. And I started playing at church on Sundays. And after a year of that, my wife said, something's got to go, or else we're not going to make it.
Yeah.
So I quit the band and spent the next 30 years playing church.
Oh,
Wow.
That's my background.
So
that's awesome.
So you're talking about 1986
yeah, that's what I was
to
going to ask.
2016
Uh-huh.
with a few, and in the first 5 years of that, I had a group that did, it was like a Christian jazz group. So but we weren't in clubs. We were pretty much doing jails and recovery places and
nice.
things like that.
Mhm.
And then other than that, I was in church
Mhm.
till 2016. 2011, I have a friend, Abraham Ariano. You might be his friend, a bass player.
I think so.
He said, hey, do you ever get out and gig? I didn't even have an amp. I had a keyboard but no amp.
Mhm.
I got to borrow an amp to play.
Uh-huh.
So I just started doing a couple with him and Martin and Tony, Tony Providence.
Yeah.
And so we started just playing maybe a couple times a year. That was it. And so in 2016, I got a Mac
Okay.
with GarageBand on it.
Of course you did.
And I started putting some sounds together. And it actually started sounding pretty decent. So I called my friend Jesse, who still plays with me. I've known Jesse since high school. And I said, hey Jesse, come over and let's record some tracks. I got some grooves, just come over and blow. And he goes, okay. So he came over. And then there's a popular group around the Bay Area called the Entourage.
Yeah.
They have a 3-piece horn section. I don't know, and they're all good musicians. I don't know how many guys have made it into your scene. But Nasario is the trumpet player, and I've known him for a long time as well. So he was in a band when I was playing in the funk group in the 70s. He was playing in a band called All These People, and they were like the junior tower power. Every city had like four wannabe tower power groups, and everybody would say who's the best one, and they were one of the better ones. And so I knew him from back then, and when I got out of the scene in '86, I was off the scene. So I lived life. I raised a family, worked a job, and played at church. That was my life.
Yeah.
2002, my dad passed away, and we at the funeral, and Nasario's there.
So interesting.
I'm like,
yeah.
what are you doing here? He goes,
Yeah.
oh, your dad's been like a spiritual mentor to me. Of course, my dad didn't tell me anything.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm here. He played like a little trumpet at the very beginning. I'm like, what? I said, hey, if I ever do anything musical, I wanna bring you on. I don't know when it's gonna be.
Right.
So 2016, I call him up. This is now 14 years later.
Yeah.
Hey, Nasario. Hey, long time no see. And I would see him from time to time, little concerts and stuff with his bands. Come on over. So I said, I'll send you what we have, and I want you to come play some horns. I wrote some horn parts. He says, can my horn section play on them too? I showed him, so he calls back, he goes, can my horn section play on them too? I go, what horn section? He goes, I got most of the guys from back then. I'm playing with them now. I have a band called the Entourage. I said, okay. So next thing you know, I have a horn section that's playing most of the first album.
Again, I wouldn't know. Yeah.
And it just kind of fell together. And so halfway through, I was just going to do 4 songs. My son, Robbie, says, hey Dad, you should just put a CD together. I said, oh no, man, I'm just having fun, getting my friends. And so he said, oh, put together, it'll do okay.
Yeah.
So that's our first. I should have brought some CDs.
Oh,
Anyway, so I think that's on the links. Anyway, so that's how that started. And then so I finished the CDs, called up Martin because I had done some gigs with him, called up Abraham because I had done some gigs with him. So my world, outside of the church world, I still knew people, but I've been out.
Right.
And then next thing you know, I have an album and it says Eastside Funk,
Yeah.
Love, Joy, Groove.
I saw that. Yeah.
And
I listened.
I'll send you a couple of the links.
There's
for
a piece on there that I really liked.
and they say, when are you gonna gig? I go, oh no, it's not a band.
Yeah.
And they go, oh no, you gotta put a band together. So within 6 months, this is a God thing. All of a sudden, these musicians started popping up. And before I know it, in July of 2017, we had our first gig. It was at a little club in Saratoga. That's not there anymore.
So I got you kind of in the beginning.
We gigged in 2017 at your place.
Yeah.
We were brand new. Yes.
I didn't even realize.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I mean,
What a
talk
journey.
about polished.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys came. how are you going to come
Well, they
in and
already had
sell this
talent,
out
and
all
then
the time?
a larger force brought them all together
Yeah.
to do this
Wow.
thing, and here they
I
are.
didn't even. I would have never known that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's so beautiful, and
So-
so
you know,
just so
we know it's going to be
yeah.
fine musicians.
Mm-hmm.
We know there's going to be a great crowd. We know
Yeah.
the setting's going to be cool.
Yeah.
So those are really big obstacles. You don't get all those playing when you
Right.
go to a normal gig.
Right.
So all that setup and prep is already done. So now it's just execute with the guys that are here. Let's do it. And so you're when you set up you storytell and then you give us, which is the only thing the only critical thing I have about you about that
Okay.
is that none of that's shared on all your videotapes, right? It's
Yeah.
it's
I agree. I think he's a part of the show, right?
it's
Yeah.
actually because it actually sets it up.
Yeah, it really does.
nicely.
It's a missing element. I
It-
agree.
That's
with him.
I can actually take that criticism.
Okay.
That
yeah.
kind of criticism I can take. That's okay. That's cool.
Good.
I can live with
The
that.
label
Because-
didn't flip
because-
over to sensitive.
That kind of sets it up, and it's kind of a
I agree.
we get the fruits of that, but
Yeah.
you want to see the roots of that. You want to see
Yes.
how did we didn't we didn't just come
You
up
didn't
with
just
that on
start,
our own
you know,
and
start
say-
up
Right.
this song out of
Yeah,
nowhere.
there was
yeah,
there
you
was
were
there was
prompt.
there was a setup and a
Yeah,
prompt
and a story behind
yes,
it to
and
some degree.
So
yeah.
it looks it almost appears like, okay, yeah, let's do you start. Okay.
Yeah.
But really, you know, all credit where credit is due, bro. You're the one that set that thing
Well,
up.
okay.
Say another thing about the improv. To me, it's like finding long lost brothers you didn't know you had.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's a beautiful description
Like,
of it.
wow.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and so like about a month ago, Chris Beveridge and Tina and Bill Norwood showed up at one of my gigs.
Oh, see, I like
that would have
hearing
never
that.
happened
I like
without you.
hearing
That would have never happened.
I love hearing that.
Yeah,
That's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you don't take any credit for it, but you enjoy that's you.
Yeah.
That's your gift of
Yeah.
being a connector.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I
Yeah,
never
you
heard
know.
of that. I didn't know that. That was cool.
I mean, there's authors that have written about that, the connector.
Yeah.
I can't remember the guy's name. But,
Yeah. It's truly a gift.
yeah,
it really
yeah,
is.
Yeah, not everybody has that.
I have it.
You know,
Yeah.
by the way, he supports the arts. Him is what he's got a lovely family. Just everybody in the family.
He's
I
a
met
lov-
his wife.
He's a
number
lovely
of
man.
times.
I'm
He's
sure he has a
man.
lovely
He's got a
wife.
lovely
Yeah, and a
wife
lovely
who probably
family.
keeps him a lovely man,
Uh-huh.
right? Okay.
Yeah, Denise, you hear that?
Yeah, How long you been
Hey,
married?
Denise.
Dude, you better get these numbers right.
This May will be 40 years.
Wow,
So-
that's
Get the
amazing.
heck out of here.
That's gorgeous.
40 years
40
married?
years, yeah.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Nice
So-
job, girl.
Yeah.
So my wife did an excellent job in identifying the gifts that each of them had, and then just pouring everything into it so that can come out and grow. So
How many kids do you have?
I have 4 kids. Let me talk.
Please.
Let me tell you a little bit about them.
Yeah.
Olivia is 38. She lives in Milwaukee.
Okay.
Her husband's a professor
What's
at
up,
an engineering
Olivia?
school in downtown Milwaukee. She is the director of music at her church,
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Christ Church in downtown Milwaukee. She has a degree in flute, but she plays multiple instruments and sings.
Nice.
And she's a connector as well, creativity and tons of compassion. I have Robbie who just left. I took him to the airport yesterday. His family was here. And Olivia and her husband have two sons.
Okay.
So Rowan and Freddie. And I wrote a song called Freddie Found a Frog because my other son Rowan said that to him. So that we have a song on our playlist right now called Freddie Found a Frog. But anyway, Robbie and his wife Bria, they're both involved in the Christian music scene in Nashville. He's a producer. She's a vocalist. And she goes under Bria Jean. All her music's all over Facebook and all over Spotify and stuff. They do really well. And they have 3 daughters. They just had a third. Our youngest one's Maggie. She's 3 months old.
Wow.
So he does music full time. He did other stuff before that, but that's where he is now. I have another son who lives in Hawaii, CJ, and he's a veterinary technician. Again, compassion there. That's what he does. And he's also a gifted violinist, bass player, and vocalist.
Wow, it runs deep.
Jeez.
He's not using any of that stuff now, but he has it.
Yeah.
My youngest daughter, Bethany, is 26, and she's the only one who lives in the state. And lives at the house still, and she's a working professional as an artist. She's an artist, fantastic artist, but she is an artist that makes money. She's an industrial designer,
Okay.
so she does a myriad of and she's also a vocalist, keyboard player, and she leads at the church we attend. She's strong.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so we have that as a background, and it's neat because I did that for years, and I saw my dad do it, and now some of my grandkids are singing.
Wow, so you're passing on that beautiful gift, and it's such a testament to both you and your wife, and of course the people that came before you, your parents.
Absolutely.
But that's really beautiful. That really is. That's a symphony in itself, just to have all of that happening, as an outpouring of your talent, your own talent and passing.